How has Islam, Iman, and Ihsan been understood, preserved, and transmitted by the vast majority of scholars with the vast majority of our history?
So that's the question that we have been spending 10 weeks, including today, trying to answer. And I think now those of you who have been consistent, mashallah, will have a very good answer to this now. One that is grounded historically in facts that are undisputed. Despite people trying their best to dispute them, the facts stand for themselves.
We have spent the last 9 weeks having a look at how Islam, Iman, and Ihsan have been understood, preserved, and transmitted by the vast majority of scholars for over the last 1400 years. We have seen how, when it comes to Islam, it has been through the 4 schools that have been widely accepted by the Sunni ulama.
I said Sunni there because our Shia brothers and sisters, they have their own schools of fiqh. But obviously, predominantly, you guys are Sunni, and that's where the focus is on. Should somebody want to say I'm discriminating against Shia, or the Shia themselves will say I'm not, because I'm not talking about anything else other than Sunni Orthodox Islam.
Similarly, in Aqidah, the Asharis, Maturidis, and the Athari Hafidis, those that do not ascribe Allah to bodily forms, have been standard bearers of Sunni Orthodoxy.
Why have I put in brackets those who do not ascribe to Allah bodily forms? Famine, nice to have you back.
Is it like when people are saying that Allah has like features like He has a physical hand and a physical head?
And some today will ultimately do that. The conclusion of what they're saying would be that, but they would claim to be Athari. And historically, the Atharis are very far from that kind of understanding. Okay? So, are you here? Oh, I can see the laptop. You can't see your face. I'll come to you soon, don't worry.
The same is true with Tasawwuf or Sufism. This can be seen if one just looks historically. Today, such historical facts are met with criticism, insult, and attempt to rewrite history, or to simply ignore these facts by some Muslims.
Have you now come across perhaps people who would fall into this category? Hands up. Hands up high. For the record, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For the record. For those who say I'm pushing a particular agenda, nothing can be further from the truth. The only agenda I'm pushing is the facts, history. Let those be angry, be angry. Facts speak for themselves. I'm not here to sugarcoat. It's a deen. It's a deen. And you have the right to know. People don't want you to know, perhaps, or rather pretend they don't know. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in you not wasting 10 years of your life trying to work out what is right and what is wrong, only to come back maybe 20 years later and realize, oh, I actually got it wrong. And then you have to deal with, well, do I continue on practicing, or do I go back, and what do I do? And all too often, by then you could be pretty tired and you get on with your life. And spirituality and Islam take a second seat. Kind of don't want that for you guys. And those who want to criticize, we pray to Allah opens the heart and mind. They understand. Allah guides you wherever He wants to guide you. Where He guides, Allah make us and our families from those who are guided.
This is not the case with non-Muslim academics of Islam, for whom history speaks for itself.
I put this here because Saeed, you mentioned this the other day. Could you kindly, on the microphone, could you kindly say what you said to me the other day with regards to this particular point? Because I put it here because of what you said.
So the other day, I was looking at the top 500 most influential Muslims, which is compiled by Georgetown University. it's not compiled by Muslims, these are academics, and even they mentioned that 90% of Muslims are Sunni, and there are different Sufi tariqas, and they mentioned the madhabs, the schools of Aqidah, as well as
Ash'aris and Maturidis.
Ash'aris and Maturidis, yes.
No, not Muslims, just historians. But so, the question presents itself.
There's also quite a few students of history on YouTube talk about that going on.
Not Muslims or non-Muslims?
Non-Muslim.
Non-Muslims. So the question is, why is it that some Muslims are against these facts when non-Muslims only seem to have an issue with this? Anybody want to give me an answer?
Them agendas that you were talking about.
Okay. Anything for sisters? Anything for sisters? Why are non-Muslims understood our history, but yet we are so disastrously ignorant of our history? What's going on? Why are we so ignorant? That's my question. I want to answer. Why are we ignorant? Why do we know this? And why are we arguing the facts? I'll leave that there for you, but I do want to answer at some point. Luqman, what university are you from?
John Moss,
Of course.
product design engineering.
What year?
Third year.
Last year.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing next year?
Master's degree. Master's.
Where?
University of Liverpool.
About job. Okay, the Jibril Hadith, which, if you think about it, that's what we have been doing for the past 9 weeks, albeit through a historical perspective. So when we started this class, it was practical. It's not practical, that's not pretty. That's spaced out, like, but they're always the one. Well, did you get that joke? No. So you guys are spaced out, and I said, in more ways than one. No. Generational thing. I don't really have. This hadith is that's what we've been dealing with, inshallah. And alhamdulillah, for the most part, there's been consistent people. More so for the brothers. The sisters have been as consistent. Quite surprised me, the sisters are more consistent. But this year, the guys, for the first time in my teaching, my short teaching experience, the guys seem to have outdone the girls. I don't know why that is. But I don't have the benefit is there for those who come consistently. The benefit is there. You start perceiving a lot more clearly. Each theme is connected. And as we go into semester 2, mashallah, you will see how the themes from semester 1 are connected. With the Jibril Hadith, you've had a 9-week explanation of a hadith. Have you ever had a hadith explained to you longer than that? 9 weeks, each class is about 3 hours, 9 times 3. Muhammad, mathematics, 9 times 3. You've got 27 hours worth of explanation of this hadith. Speaks for itself. Hey, the 3 dimensions of our deen, problem.
Islam, Shahada, 5 prayers, Zakat, fasting.
Actually, right, you should know this by now. Rahim, Islam, what are the 5 pillars of Islam?
Shahada, the 5 prayers, Zakat, fasting, and Hajj.
And that has been preserved through
The 4 schools of thought.
4 schools of thought. Right. Iman and the sisters. Y'all got a microphone? On this side, anyone? Totally? You know it? 6. Saying Arabic or English with you?
The angels, the day of judgment, and the Quran. Is it like all the books as well?
Ayo.
The messengers, the angel. Oh, is that angel?
messages and تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر. And last is والقضاء خير وشر. Decree. Six pillars of Iman. And that's been preserved through what? Taha. Which are? Which athletes? One day athletes who claim Allah has a body and blood? No, those athletes who don't claim that. And there are some today that still claim that. Some of my own teachers are athletes. I don't know that. And Ihsan, Yusuf, Ihsan, preserved through, what is it, Ihsan?
To worship Allah as you see Him, and if you don't know that He sees you.
That's been preserved historically through the soul. So people, the Ihsan, okay, how you reach that level is through the soul. Historically. So, why do people have an issue with the soul when historically the scholars of Islam, that's how they've chosen, that's a science to achieve what the Prophet is talking about, that's it. So you have a problem with that, you have a problem with the scholars historically. You have a problem with the soul, you have a problem with the ulama. You have a problem with the ulama, you essentially have a problem with Allah, because Allah's chosen this to be preserved and achieved through the science of the soul. My problem is, why do people have a problem with the method that allows you to see Allah as, to worship Allah as if you see Him? In other words, why do people don't want you to worship Allah as if you see Him? That's how I look at it. You have a problem with spirituality, you have a problem with Ihsan. If you have a problem with Ihsan, then apart from Shaitan, Shaitan does not want you to worship Allah as if you see Him. Well, that's the way to do it. There's no other way. If you can find the way that the scholars have agreed upon, come and show me. But this is how it's been done. I look at that. If you want to have a mental block, a spiritual block. There we are. Hey, keep going. Right. What do you know about the term Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? About sisters, sisters. What do you know about the term Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? 8 years old. These slides will upload. Anybody, hands up. Ahl Sunnah, tell me what you know. Zane. There's a microphone. Hassan. There's one behind you. There's one behind you. Leave that to him. Use that one.
Basically, the majority of the practicing Muslims which are the follower of any of the four mazhabs, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and the four mazhabs combined are called the followers of Sunnah.
Okay. Anything else? Not Allah.
They follow the Tabi'in, so the Sahaba, and the few generations after that, and we follow that to Muslim Jama'ah.
On whose interpretation?
For them, who are the
Basically what he just said.
part of the Tabi'in.
So, anything else? That's it.
Follow the teachings. Follow the teachings of the majority of scholars for the majority of time.
Okay, yeah. Well, wait. More precise.
There's a hadith about there being like 70 odd sects or something, and one of them is the saved one. Is that going to be?
No, that doesn't apply here.
It doesn't apply.
No, because strangely, we'll talk to that. So that doesn't mean that. It would mean that anybody outside Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah goes to hell. I've never said that. And anybody listening carefully will know that. Zane, Muhammad, Hassan, these guys, Yusuf, those guys who come regularly, Annie, and others. I've never said that. Never said that at all. Let's move on. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. This is taken basically from the Shafi'i fiqh books. Ibn Hajar al-Haythami, who is like one of the most authoritative voices in the Shafi'i Shafi'i school. And I just took him as an example. Others will say the same thing. But this, anybody wants to know where I got this from, this is the definitive fatwa in the Shafi'i school. What is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? This is the fatwa taken by Ibn Haythami, again an authority in the Shafi'i school. If you go to any Islamic university like Azhar University, they have to still say the same thing. Alright, inshallah. Listen to that.
A term given to mean the main body of Sunni Orthodox Muslims and their beliefs, defined by scholars as those that follow one of the four Sunni schools of faith. One of the schools of Aqidah, namely the Ash'aris, Maturidis, and the non-anthropomorphists of the Ahl Hadith, Hanbali, reading of Taqweed.
So we recognize the Atharis as part of, again, one of my teachers is Athari. Alright? The Ash'aris and the Maturidis and the Atharis, or Hanbalis, or Ahl Hadith, are known as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Again, the Sheikh of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed Deeb, had a whole kind of fatwa, like a saying on this issue. That's quite out of this facts. Thank you, brother.
Those that follow accept a path of Ihsan, the soul that is grounded in the Quran and Sunnah.
And for those that follow or accept, because you may not necessarily follow, but you accept legitimacy. Alright? And that's Allah. That's all kind of we want really, just to accept that the soul is a recognized sight. Whether you follow or not, that's your prerogative. But rejecting it outright, as if that's not part of Islam, that's somebody who does not know the facts, history. Again, look back at the previous lecture for those who want to recap or even if they won't understand this. Some people have a mental block. That's how it is. So, move on.
When we look at the great scholars of authority in Islam and Hadith, Tafsir, Aqidah, they all fall into the above definition.
Okay? Some of the brightest, greatest scholars of Hadith in Tafsir, in Fiqh, in Aqidah, they all fall into this definition. Even your how to recite Tajweed, they come in your Sanad, we'll talk about today, will be Ash'ara, Maturidiyya, will be people of Fiqh, people of Tasawwuf. You cut off that completely, all the Asanid, the chains of transmission that reached us, and took out every single person that was an Ash'ari or a Maturidi or a person of Tasawwuf, you would have no knowledge. A little bit, not much. But, Bismillah.
Being from the Sunni tradition, what does this tell you about who you should take the faith from?
Luqman. Sorry to interrupt you. Then you finish eating. I'd rather you come and eat than not come. Luqman. But sisters, probably microphone.
Would it be people who fulfill all of those conditions?
Say again?
So would it be people who fulfill, scholars who fulfill all of those conditions on the previous slide?
Where about it?
So, as in, who you should take your faith from?
Right. That's one way. Yeah, would you kind of agree with that? That's a good starting point for who to take your faith from. Which is very generic, right? Not generic, but very wide. As opposed to following the Quran and Sunnah of a particular Sheikh or a particular understanding sect. I'm saying any one of the four schools, with all their various different opinions, vast opinions they have between themselves, and even within those schools, vast difference of opinion. That's what I'm saying to follow. And in Aqidah, you have the Ash'ara and the Maturidiyya, and the Atharis or the Hanbalis, and have differences between each other. And in spirituality, the various turuq. So I'm saying all of this vastness that you take your tradition from, mashallah, vast. As opposed to what? Only taking it from this particular understanding or these particular groups of sheikhs. And yet they're going to criticize us for being not inclusive? Really? Huh? We are not inclusive? SubhanAllah? Huh? Why? Either the person saying it doesn't understand. I don't have a good opinion. I think people saying it don't understand what they mean. Because the reality is, in terms of who is more inclusive, those, the opposite side will say, we don't follow the form of madhahib. That's a scratch, that's a cross there. And Asha'ira and Maturidiyya across there. And spirituality are across there. And yet, we are the ones being not inclusive? Really? Does that sound me? Those listening, does that make any sense to you? And tell me if I'm wrong. And on top of that, they're going to call those who follow this tradition as being deviants or kuffar. What we're going to say is that these are our brothers. That's what we're like saying that Ali ibn Abi Talib said, you're our brothers who've gone against us. We'll talk about that in semester 2. But this idea that we're not inclusive, really? SubhanAllah? The Hanifis are 40% of the Ummah, according to statistics, and the Shafi'i, what, 28%, and what, the Malikis are 12, and then the Hanbalis are 10, and the Ash'ari. Really? We are the ones not being inclusive? We are the ones that are not intolerant? That we're the ones that don't tolerate? Really? Is that what people are saying? I think if people sit down and just sit down between them and Allah, just sit between them and Allah, and make istikhara. Make istikhara, Ya Allah, look, I'm confused. Allah, he's saying this, people are saying this, I'm confused. Istikhara. 7 days, but be sincere. Be sincere, don't come with your mind already made up because you won't get anything out of it. But be sincere. Turn to Allah. Wake up before Fajr, half an hour before Fajr. Do your Salat Istikhara. Raise your hands. Ask Allah to show you what's right, what's wrong. And yet we are the ones who are intolerant. We are the ones who are not inclusive. MashaAllah.
Historically, scholars have concluded that anyone who doesn't conform to this is not from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, despite their claims.
Right?
Those that do not conform to this are still Muslim and are afforded respect, and we don't vilify people.
Could you repeat this again? Because there will be people who will go deaf at this moment in time. And just in case they've gone deaf right now, we'll repeat it again, just in case they're hearing, may want to come back. Inshallah. So let's repeat this again for those who have selective selective hearing.
Those that do not conform to this are still Muslim and are afforded respect, and we don't vilify people. Remember the blue circle diagram?
Remember that blue circle diagram we had? The blue circle, and the blue circle we had the green circle, and the green circle that was Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Then in the blue circle we had the rest of the Muslims. The rest of the Muslims are who? We have Shahada, pray 5 times a day, face the Qibla, eat halal, general average Muslim. They are all Muslims. We don't make takfir. Unlike they. Unlike those who are quote unquote the inclusive people. So inclusive that they've kicked half the Muslims out. I don't know how inclusive some of them are. But I've never said to you, make takfir. Never said. Despite some of you maybe asking questions, I have hands up, I've ever told you they are kuffar. Hands up. The certain sects of Islam, I've ever said they're kuffar. No. If you have, tell me, your hands up. And except those who all agree on, they're a minority. Otherwise, there are people who differ. And just because somebody does not fall into this category, does that mean we disrespect them, or we call them kafir or anything else about nature. We don't. Okay? No doubt people will listen to what they listen to.
This brings us now to our last question. Given what we've established, how do we identify who is an authority from those that are not?
Alright, this is today's lecture.
Question 2. How do you recognize who is an authority and who is not when it comes to Islam, Iman, and Ihsan?
You notice for the past 9 weeks we haven't touched this. And maybe I'll ask you at the end of the class, should this have been dealt with right at the beginning or now? I'll ask you at the end to see what you think. Inshallah. But this is today's class.
Everyone follows someone's interpretation. Who's those? Are they qualified? What makes them so? And how do we judge?
This question, or these questions, we're going to answer tonight. Alright? This is a lot more easier to take in, but the importance of this lecture cannot be underestimated. This is such a vital, important lecture that I was kind of conflicted whether or not to do it now or right at the beginning. But such an important question, and alhamdulillah, those who reached to the end of this semester will have the answer, and those listening online, inshallah, the answer will be there as well. But this is a standalone lecture in and of itself.
Perhaps the biggest challenge in learning Islam correctly today is the scarcity of traditional ulama. What does that mean?
Zane, what does that mean to you?
So one of the signs of the Day of Judgment is that over time the scholars will start to disappear, and as the scholars are disappearing, it's harder to learn traditional Sunni Islam. Thus,
Is that your own experience?
From my experience, it is harder to find scholars or people of knowledge who have roots in traditional Sunni Islam.
Okay. Anything from our sisters? Anyone apart from her? Sister, where you? The one next to Annie. At the back next to Femina. Why? What does that mean?
Sorry, what does it mean?
Yeah, that's my question.
I was just going to say that it's getting a bit worse now where scholars are like liars. It's probably not the answer to the question.
Okay, I will ask you the names. There asked. Sister behind. Next to the side, next to in the middle. Answer this question, what do you think? Is that a challenge today to learn Islam correctly because of the scarcity of traditional ulama? There's not many around. Or do you find it different?
I think it's the fact that there's a lot of misleading information available as well contributes to not having a lot of knowledgeable scholars.
You would agree with this? Alright. Well,
Yeah.
why are you sat in the back so far?
To repeat, so I think that, like the others have mentioned, there's a lot more difficulty in finding the right sources because there's also a lot of conflict from people. Say you speak about a certain speaker or scholar, there's always going to be negative feedback in regards to who that scholar is, and you get opinions, and obviously it can create confusion for some people. So you have conflict even with the formal comes. You have people.
Difference of opinion.
Yeah, difference of opinion. So for someone that might be still learning about Islam, it makes it difficult for them. I've had ones myself where, so say you're looking for lectures online on YouTube or something, and you always have difference of opinion in terms of who you should listen to, who you should avoid, and then you get this confusion of what's right and what's wrong.
Right. Bismillah, Hassan.
In this video, Bukhari relates the Sahih rigorously authentic hadith that the Prophet said, "Truly Allah does not remove sacred knowledge by taking it out of servants, but rather by taking back the souls of Islamic scholars in death, until when he has not left a single scholar, the people take the ignorant as leaders, who are asked for and who give Islamic legal opinion without knowledge, misguided and misguiding."
Would you say that this has happened now? this process is starting now. One of the signs of end of time is the lack of traditional ulama. And in that situation, people then begin to, and they die. They're dying now as every month the scholars passing away, those who've heard of, and those we haven't heard of. And now all that's left are ignorant people who, without knowledge, start to answer questions, and they are misguided themselves, and they misguide others. I'm here to try and help you not get misguided by these misguided individuals, inshallah. We'll thank you for it, inshallah.
The process described by the hadith is not yet completed, but has certainly begun. In our times, the lack of traditional scholars who wrote Islamic law in hadith, in tafsir, has given rise to an understanding of the religion that is far from scholarly and sometimes far from the truth. Do you agree?
Jubair, do you agree? Rahim? Muhammad, do you agree? Anybody disagree? For the record, no one has said they disagree. Like I'm in court on the American TV programs. Oh, it's later.
With the advent of the internet, social media, satellite channels, and widespread distribution of information on Islam, people in this age have greater access to understanding their faith. This has not always been a blessing, as a growing number of Muslims are learning their faith through social media, TV shows, the internet, Sheikh, Google, and modern literature. This has resulted in confusion, chaos. Many have found themselves confused with the sheer volume of different opinions. Faced with so many answers and opinions, they pick and choose what suits them or remain confused. This can lead people
That's what the man basically just said that, right? Pretty much just said that.
This can lead people open to manipulation, misinformation, and indoctrination.
Manipulation, people will seek to manipulate you, and misinformation, and indoctrination. Everybody is fighting for your hearts and your minds for whatever reason they want. And they may be sincere, but they may be sincerely deluded. You can be sincere, but you can be deluded in your sincerity and in what you believe. I can be sincere in believing that it's not snowing, or it hasn't snowed, it's sunny. I'm very sincere, but I'm sincerely deluded.
Question: can you tell the difference between the following?
Alright, ready for this one?
Number 1, qualified scholar. Number 2, a preacher.
Preacher's smart, da'wah, da'i.
Number 3, a qualified scholar in one particular field only. Number 4, someone for whom Islam is a hobby that they like writing or lecturing.
Have I missed anybody else? No? No names.
People like spreading lies.
Yeah, they'll be in this one. In this one. Alright. Take 2 minutes. And I'm going to ask you, how can you tell the difference? Inshallah. If you want to talk between yourselves, do what you want to do. Inshallah. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. There we go. Such an important topic. We'll keep the live stream going. Inshallah. For 5 minutes, talk between yourselves. Inshallah. Hassan looks alone. Maybe Hassan can turn around and speak to the guy behind him. What's your name?
Shiraz.
Shiraz. Hassan Shiraz can talk, and you guys can talk. And he joins okay. But talk between yourselves. I want you to know, also, I want you to tell me after 5 minutes, you know, the difference between how you can tell the difference.
Yeah, it's just a jump. Yeah, that's the only I can look for. The thing is, you can't go to them and say, "No, you just show me." This is a preacher. Preacher is I do preach. Jumu'ah preaches. No. Preacher. I don't know. I have that. I don't go to university. We have to someone. qualified scholar in this particular field. I wouldn't know unless he said it. Unless he said, oh, my field is only this. Someone from home Islam is a hobby. Do you know who was the number 4?
There could be a scholar in him, but you shouldn't be qualified. Then like it's be a scholar in him. That's qualified in certain part. For example, teaching Mali. Like that. I think also qualified scholars are more. I think it's this they are what's it called, reading. What's it called, like you know better
Ask the question. Right, you guys seem to have gone quiet somewhat. So, ladies first. You guys all work together? Alright, tell me what you how can you tell the difference between a qualified scholar, a preacher, a qualified scholar in one particular field, and someone who Islam is a hobby, but they like writing and lecturing, it's a hobby for them. But I'm talking about Islam. How can you personally tell the difference?
Well, we said that we came to the conclusion.
You're talking to everybody?
Yeah. Qualified scholar, they have to have years of studying and like following sheikhs and stuff like that, and kind of like, I'm not sure like certificates in terms of to say they've studied this Quran or whatever. The preacher doesn't have to be qualified, like they could just give that one, is what we said. And then the qualified scholar in a particular field is, we said that they should only give like regular classes and talk about what they've studied only in that area. They can't be qualified to talk about anything.
Wait, let's say they do, how do you know? That's my question now. Let's say they do, they don't stay in their lane, they talk about other stuff. How are you going to know that they're talking about other things? How are you going to know they've come out their lane? That's my question.
You would check their agendas, so you check their qualifications and see if the topic that they talk about is what they're qualified to talk about.
So you ask them?
Yeah.
Who wants to have a go? Of you guys? So you're going to do your hand with this. You can get that. Seriously, girls, out to the guys. Anyone have a go? Oh, Muhammad. Bismillah. Tell me, how do you personally tell the difference? Well, if you can't, just say, I don't. No problem. I'm here to kind of answer.
For the qualified scholar, you have to keep asking who their teacher was. And then you look up who was their teacher until you find a long line of kind of scholars who taught each other to make sure that they've got good scholars and good information that they've learned behind them.
Alright?
But number,
A preacher?
no idea. But number 4, you can kind of tell it's not too difficult. You just ask a few questions, difficult questions, and you can tell sometimes.
Okay, you can ask them questions.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then I don't know for number 3.
Okay. Number 4?
Yeah, just ask different questions. Because it's
Number 4, you ask them questions.
Yeah, different questions.
Well, what if number 4, they're quite slick? And they've read a lot. How are you going to tell? Let's say they're well read.
You go to a qualified scholar first.
Well, why would you need to do that?
Because you get their opinion, and then you compare it to number 4's opinion. You can kind of tell if he's real or is hypocrite.
Alright. Pretty chaotic for Bismillah. Farhan, Bismillah.
Is the answer that you can't tell because you don't know the answers yourself to the questions if you were to test them?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I would say for some people that would be a reality. Good point. Luqman?
I think this goes back to the need of a systematic sort of approach. So, like you said.
Wait, before you give me the answers, tell me the difference first.
Okay, so the first and second.
I agree with you, and I'm going to come on to that today. That's the crisis right now. We don't have that. But in absence of that, how would you tell?
So, between the first and second one, the qualified scholar will have in-depth knowledge of all around Islam. So,
all the Quran and Islam.
Yeah, so
the whole Islam.
Not the whole Islam, no. But they will have a good understanding of Islamic, so forth.
What is a good understanding of you?
Well, if they have like peer reviewed, so if they've gone through the systematic approach.
What is the systematic approach?
So
you're heading in the right direction. For those who are listening and those who are online, I want to kind of explain what you mean.
So, podcast will have understandings from all 4 methods.
All 4 methods?
Yeah.
You're living in a different age. In the past, maybe. In this day and age, yeah, and somebody in one method is a miracle.
Yeah, so obviously you might choose to focus more into one method. But they should be still aware of all, different opinions.
Yeah. Okay.
So to develop a proper understanding, you should also.
How long does it take to study one particular school?
If you think about it, you mentioned the particular person that, even though they spoke Arabic, they spent 20 years.
Not the Shafi.
Yeah. So
in Yemen,
yeah.
To gain proficiency in the Shafi'i school, 6 or 7 years studying 6 days a week outside of Ramadan, obviously, doing 2 books at a time. Then you're going to cover the Shafi'i schools, and the main books in the Shafi'i school, which then that will give you. You've got a basic, you've got a familiarity. You're familiar with the school, and perhaps dare I say, you're able to give opinions in the Shafi'i school. That's about 6, maybe 7 years, possibly 8 years. Some will say longer. That's one school. Just to give you an idea.
If you compare that to a preacher, that's just someone studying dawah, knowledge to new people.
Where's your voice again?
To newer people, like people who are new to Islam or not part of Islam.
Sorry, what's the point?
With a preacher.
A preacher, ever?
So this is probably someone who's just spreading, I guess you say basic knowledge, just bringing people closer or to Islam.
So how do you tell the difference if a preacher? Well, here's a question. Is every scholar a preacher? So he says no. Is every preacher a scholar? Thank God. Like, listen, I just making you guys think. Sayyidi Hassan,
Most just look at who appears scholarly in appearance or speech, and of course who has the largest followers, likes on social media.
That's kind of my experience of what's happening on the ground. Those that appear scholarly, they wear the clothes, they walk the walk and talk the talk. If they have a large following on social media, alright, that's it. He must be right. He's on TV. As if that means anything. It means nothing. It means nothing. How about faith?
Faith is a very powerful force. It can transform a person's life from crime to piety, can mend relationships, instill good morals, provide peace and tranquility to a person's life. It can also be used to motivate people to give their wealth, time, and resources to worthy causes.
And we have a lot of abuse when it comes to this. We have what's called spiritual abuse by people who are in positions of authority over people, and people's good opinions of those people lead them to being their wealth, time, resources, and perhaps other aspects where they're taken advantage of. And we don't stand for any of that. But also, a lot of people will kind of spread rumors and misinformation and try to smear other people, other scholars, which we have to be very careful.
If manipulated for political or economic purposes, they can be used to motivate people to harm, fight, and even kill, Khawarij and extremism.
Any examples of this in this day and age? Hands up. What? ISIS. What about them?
They're manipulating. They're claiming to do it. In jihad and all that stuff, but they're not. It's not backed up by anything.
And they will have things backed up. They will. The average guy in that group, for example, if he sat here in front of you, you wouldn't accept what he's saying. Most of you, if not all of you, wouldn't have a reply back to him because of the lack of knowledge you guys have. That's kind of a bit of a problem. But I think a greater problem would be if you just accepted what they said. That's a bigger problem. But I'd like to think the guys and girls and those listening online would, even if they don't have an answer, they would accept what they're saying. Right? Even if they give you hadith, a verse of the Quran, and quote me this Sheikh, and quote me that Sheikh, and all this type of stuff. أستفتي قلبك وإن أفتوك الناس. The Prophet says, look towards your heart, even if people give you fatwa, saying this is halal, alright, but your heart says this doesn't seem right, always go back to your heart.
It's very important that one takes their understanding of Islam from authentic sources.
Authentic sources, and people say that all the time. Akhi, I'm giving you knowledge from authentic sources. I give you hadith, I give you video. There you go. Whose interpretation are you giving me? You guys stop at the hadith. Oh, he told me the hadith. He told me the verse of the Quran. But whose interpretation? I want to start asking that question. Whose interpretation is it? Is it your interpretation? Is it your Sheikh's interpretation? If that's the case, is that the mainstream historical interpretation? Do you know that or not? I don't really know it. Well, I don't.
Ignorance of the masses can be used against you.
And this next statement describes our age.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is the king.
SubhanAllah. I'm always the one. And if the age continues, we'll be literally heading towards a man that has one eye. SubhanAllah. Literally. You will head towards a man who has one eye. And he will tell you, this is how it should be, and follow me, and I am God. He has a hand, he has a face, he's coming down, mashallah. For some people, that's the aqidah. Some people, they believe Allah has a hand, Allah has a face, and moves up and down. And then you have a man down in front of you, saying, I'm your God. La ilaha illallah. Allah protect us.
Today, the reality is that there are far too many people who speak about Islam who are not an authority, but speak as if they are. We have all sorts of experts, Muslim and non-Muslims, now telling us what Islam says or doesn't say, what is halal, haram, shirk, bid'ah, what is hijab, what is acceptable and what is not.
And it's even non-Muslims now are jumping on the bandwagon. As if we've got no problems with Muslims. We've got non-Muslims now speaking as if they're some kind of experts and telling us what Islam is and what it is not, or how it should be.
Journalists, academics, preachers, speakers, and other professionals with no specialization in the Islamic sciences are speaking about Islam as if they were experts.
So I put it in red, no specialization, because that is the problem. Do we agree? No specialization.
They are reaching very strange, unorthodox positions and views that range from, on the one hand, the ultra-liberal reformists, modernists, right through to the violent jihadists. Any examples?
Any examples? What have I said? On one hand, what do you have?
ISIS.
Yeah, you have another people, just there, we have them as well. And on the other side, you have what, Muhammad? No, that's all one side. The reality is both extreme. They're both on the side, but one side is ultra, orthodox. And on the other side, you've got what? The liberal. Any examples you want to tell me? Hands up. Any examples of either? Zarina, give me the microphone, please. Tell me a bit more, because you're a sister, and if a guy was to say this, he'd probably get shouted at, but I think a woman can get away with it, so listen to that. Educate us. The microphone closer, because people...
Majority of feminists these days say that men and women should be equal in absence of Islam. Women have rights to a certain extent, in terms of equality. But in this day and age, liberalism and feminism, they all say that women should have equivalent power as men and they should be 50-50.
Right, that's one. Anything within the, we'll keep the microphone to the sisters. Any other examples here of that ultra-liberal? Sarah?
Stuff like this women saying, oh, hijab isn't wajib and stuff.
Right, have you come across that personally? At university?
No.
Come across it? Don't that names. Where have you come across this? Online? Online you get everything.
Mostly online, but I have I've talked to her and said that before. And she said have you seen the TED talk?
Oh my god, I was waiting for that to come on. Yeah, TED talk. You know, the sister, like did this 2019, a sister sent me a message and said, and this sister doesn't wear the hijab, right? And look, we don't judge those who do or don't. It's not us, everyone's on their journey. But this particular sister did not wear hijab. But she grew up knowing and believing that hijab is an obligation. And when she came to university, she came across sisters telling her hijab is not obligatory. And she knew it was, despite her not being at a point in her journey to put it on, but she knew it kind of had to. And she texted me and she said, look, this is what I'm hearing on campus. And she said that they're quoting this TED talk from this particular individual. How do I know about it? That's a perfect example. Perfect example. Alright, back to the guys, listen to them. Any examples? Specific, we're not mentioning names, specific examples. Raise your hands. There you go. There's the microphone.
There's some Muslims who are very in support of the LGBTQ movement.
Okay. In what way?
They think it's fine.
Meaning that it's permissible in Islam?
Yeah. That you can do it.
Alright. Anything else on the topic, another example? Anything from you guys at the front? Zane, anything from yourself?
I have something that's controversial, so I asked one.
تفضل اسماعيل.
So online,
عثمان.
sort of allowing women to lead in mosques and
To be the imam. In front of the men. Alright. Anything else? Any more exotic things? Saeed?
Extending on that point, men and women praying all together, standing next to each other in rows in congregation.
Alright. Anything else? Muhammad, anything for yourself? Or Amir, anything for yourself?
No specific example.
Everything is normal in Nigeria.
No.
The craziness is here in this country.
Some cultural and social things are just integrated in our society, and we can just say this can be integrated in our religion as well.
A quick example?
Like some of the practices in marriages and the wedding ceremonies.
Okay. Any example of this?
And that was not a controversial part.
Any examples in weddings and marriages? The wedding ceremony. What would you consider ultra liberal? Come on, don't hold us. Should I suggest some for you? I suggest them. Right. So when you've got the husband and wife dancing closely with each other in front of men and women, some people make cases that to be very liberal. How about the husband and wife kissing each other in front of everybody else?
No.
Okay. How about you give me examples? Rahim.
You mean like certain Desi weddings, there's a thing where like non-mahrams will grab the husband's shoes and like take it from him, let's pay him to get the shoes back. That's our liberalism, isn't it?
Okay. Anything for the guys in the back? Luqman, anything? I won't drag this out anymore, but it's quite interesting. Well, we've got to move on.
Many people take their opinions without realizing that they are not credible sources. Most people have a very superficial understanding of who we should listen to regarding our faith. As a result of this, we see the mess we are in today. Where should we take our knowledge from?
Right, we're going to pause there, and we're going to pray Salat Isha. Those who want to need to do wudu, please go and do wudu. Inshallah, we'll take a couple of minutes and we'll come back and we're going to pray Isha and we'll start this class again. Inshallah. Zane.
Thank you very much.
Amir. Comment Adam.
Guys, how is that awkward? Is it the women? Keep your shoes on.
live streams are running. We're gonna hit the ground running. It's quite good to do, but it's not heavy. But it's quite good to get through, inshallah. So, when the guys in the live stream can give thumbs up. Bismillah. Hassan, you ready?
Whenever Allah has sent a book to guide mankind, He has also sent out a messenger to explain it. This illustrates that the correct way of transmitting knowledge is through a teacher, not one's own. The role of a teacher is vital in aspects of knowledge that need explanation and interpretation. Islam even more so.
So I've highlighted in red, this illustrates that the correct way of transmitting knowledge is through a teacher, not on one's own. Meaning what? If you want to get an authority in Islam, and people look at you as an authority, then you cannot be self-taught. There's no such thing as DIY Islam. Although we have many DIY cowboys talking in Islam or for Islam, but no, there needs to be a teacher.
Ask yourself the following questions.
Are you ready? Guys in the back, are you ready? I want you to ask yourselves these questions.
Whose interpretation are you following?
Whose interpretation of Islam are you following? Because you are following someone's interpretation. Don't give me, I'm following the Quran and Sunnah, please. Come on. You know, it's like 9 weeks into that, and now we know what that means. You're following someone's interpretation of the Quran and Sunnah. Because for the most part, most of you do not have the Arabic language. And those that do, you are still dependent on somebody to explain to you. So you are following someone's interpretation of your faith. My question to you, those who are here, and those who are listening, and those that will be listening in the future, whose interpretation are you following?
Are they qualified?
Are the people whom you are following, are they qualified? Do you know what that even means? That a person is qualified.
How do you know?
And how do you know that they are qualified? These are questions I want you to think about. And I'm not going to ask you for the answer, because I want you yourselves to answer it yourselves. I want you to start thinking a bit more deeply. Stop taking things for granted, but rather, see, scratch the surface.
Allah has made our faith a responsibility upon us, which we are instructed to carry out with care. But not everyone is intended to be a scholar.
Fact, the Sahaba, as great as they are, and the rank that they have, is higher than any other scholar outside of their age. Not all the Sahaba were scholars. And we say that, and we don't mean any disrespect. And no disrespect is even intended. Because not all the Sahaba were ulama. Not all of them could give fatwa. Some were warriors, some were businessmen, some were farmers, some were just, mashallah, whatever they were. They weren't all scholars. They were all Sahaba. But they weren't all scholars. It's specialization. Okay?
For a society to function correctly, most people have underemployment. Thus, Allah orders us to ask the experts if we do not know. So ask the people of remembrance, the scholars, if you don't know.
فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah is asking,
ask a specific group of people. Not anybody, specific. Not go online and Google it, no. A specific group of people. Ahl dhikr, people of remembrance. And the ulama said, they are the ulama.
Therefore, it is vital we know who we should ask for clarification on Islamic issues. Just like one takes medicine from a doctor, history from a historian, and law from a lawyer, one must take Islamic knowledge only from a qualified scholar.
So it always boggles me when it comes to Islam. A, everyone's an expert. That's the first problem. B, they're all entitled to their views. Another problem. And C, no one kind of really has any standards. It's going to ask whoever you want to ask. But come to medicine, or something wrong with your car, or that's something very technical. Less technical in Islam, alright? And then really, well, I need to ask a professional person, an expert opinion. And suddenly, all these people, what they say, even if they feel entitled to say, you're not going to take it, right? You're not going to take your medical advice from some random guy online. You're not going to start to do surgery on your body by listening to some random person. Yeah, but why do we do spiritual surgery to ourselves? Why do we mutilate ourselves spiritually? And we do it without any kind of blink of an eye. It's so easy. And everyone's entitled to speak about Islam. I've been in gatherings where, as far as I can tell, nobody else has studied as long or has given them that tawfiq to do that. But yet, they're all talking, all giving opinions, and I'm sat there silent. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are all scholars. It's the first I've heard you guys went to study. That's the first I've heard you are scholars. But then we talk. And I sat there thinking, and that's the way my own teachers have to sit there. And people are going to yap. And they're just going to remain silent. Because how it should be is that people remain silent and ask the Sheikh, ask the teachers, because they've gone and studied. You're not going to hear the Sheikhs talk about history and science or about whatever it may be in front of you, and you're at university, that's your speciality. Yeah? You're not going to find a Sheikh doing that. So why is it not going around? Why is everybody entitled to speak? I have an opinion. Or I saw it on Google. It's irrelevant.
If someone who has read a lot of medical books but never studied at university began to give medical treatment, he would be arrested and disciplined.
True or not true? Obviously. And you would not expect anything else.
The same for someone who sets himself as a lawyer, having only read a few books without attending law school. If this is the care that we take about earthly affairs, then how much caution must we have when dealing with our eternal fate, which affects us in this life and the next life, in the hereafter?
More dangerous, right? The worst that can happen is that the doctor, this fake doctor, gives you, the wrong advice. Worst case scenario, you die. It's pretty bad. But, inshallah, you go to Jannah. Inshallah. But you get your advice from the wrong Islamic doctor or spiritual doctor, potentially you could go to hell. Depending on what's being told. More dangerous. But why do you have less standards?
By simply wearing a doctor's uniform, one does not become a doctor. Similarly, by quoting from the Quran or possessing outward piety or dressing and speaking like a scholar does not make one a scholar.
Do you understand that last paragraph? Read it again, because that's such a very important point. Please listen.
By simply wearing a doctor's uniform, one does not become a doctor. Similarly, merely quoting from the Quran or possessing outward piety or dressing and speaking like a scholar does not make one a scholar.
Do you agree or disagree? Agree? Anybody disagree? In reality, your actions that not you guys, but generally, actions say otherwise. Your actions say, somebody can tell you a few verses of the Quran, mashallah. Your actions tell you that if a person can recite beautifully, they're a scholar. Your actions can be the complete opposite.
The Islamic sciences are a specialized field which require years of dedicated study with qualified scholars. It has its own sources, methodologies, and principles similar to other specialized fields. Those that are self-taught often at times are misguided and misguide. What credentials should a scholar have? To be confident that you are receiving a proper, authentic answer to a question on Islam, one must ascertain the credentials of the speaker.
So, you're going to ask somebody a question on Islam. I want you to start doing this from now on. Muhammad, listening, from now on, I want you to start doing this.
We have spent the last 9 weeks answering the question of how Allah has preserved His faith. A good starting point is therefore to see if a person follows one of the 4 schools of thought, belongs to one of the 3 schools of Aqidah, recognizes the validity and importance of the science of the soul.
That's a good start. Right? From the word get, from the word go, a person, that's a bit of a standard there. You're going to benchmark now to kind of start to apply to those whom you want to take your knowledge from. That's a good starting point, because now you've been convinced historically of that as a fact. So therefore, maybe start with that. Yeah, is that a good starting point? Obviously.
If they have never heard of these things,
so should you take your knowledge from somebody, and you find that this person, whoever they may be, who you are taking your knowledge from, or they may be talking about Islam online, at a particular gathering, or wherever, if they say some of these things, these are things we now have to start red flags to start, you know, or the red alarm, whatever you want to call it, whatever the term is.
don't follow a madhab.
Somebody says, I don't follow madhab. That's a bit of a red flag, right? Particularly if they're claiming to be Sunni.
Do you follow a school that advocate a picking and mixing approach?
Pick a little bit from there, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and then just pick and mix, like the sweets.
Simply saying, just go back to the Quran and Sunnah.
Right? Someone said, you don't need all that talk. Ash'ari, Maliki, Nez, Quran and Sunnah. Very simplistic. But again, over 9 weeks, you've understood that's the case. Historically, that's not the case. That's a red flag.
Claim that the Ash'aris and Maturidis are deviant, heretical, despite the majority of the Ummah following them. Or say that is not the way of the Salaf, but that is it following my group, Sheikh.
In other words, people say, what you guys are on is not the way of the Salaf, even though historically we've kind of proven that following these schools and, you know, in the various forms is the way of the Salaf. We've categorically proven that. But somebody said, no, the way of the Salaf is my Sheikh and my group. Yeah? That's a red flag. Yeah? It's very exclusive.
Tasawwuf is bid'ah and has no place in Islam, or anything else that goes against what we have come to understand as the way of the vast majority of Muslims or the vast majority of Islamic history. Then you should be careful.
Up to you. If you want to take from them, that's up to you. If you don't want to take from them, that's up to you too. Personally, I know what I would do, but you know, you are free. That's a caution. Right, credentials. Moving on.
This will assist you greatly and save you a lot of time, headache, and confusion.
If you do this, right, Muhammad, if you do this, right, you'll save yourself a lot of time and headache and confusion.
On top of this, we should also ask the following questions.
So I'm going to give you a list of questions that you should start to ask and think about before you take knowledge from people. And if you are taking knowledge from people, these type of questions should be asked. You should seek answers to these questions.
Where did he or she study? Country, institution.
Where did they study? Where did they study? Which country? Which institution? Not useful to know. Right? Like if I said to you, which university did you go to? I went to University of Liverpool, it's in Liverpool. For those who are international students, if somebody asked you where did you study in the UK, the University of Liverpool, I did this course and that course. You wouldn't feel embarrassed. You would feel quite pride, which is problematic. But the point is, you wouldn't feel shy or embarrassed. Alright? But similarly, a person who has studied would welcome that question. A person who has studied would welcome that question and be happy. That's the question you should ask.
Who are their teachers?
Who are their teachers? Somebody asked me recently who are teachers. And I mentioned about half a dozen. And the guy just looked at me blank. How are you going to know when the teachers I've studied? You don't even know the teachers in your own country. How are you going to know teachers in somewhere else? But nonetheless, I was able to do that.
What are their qualifications?
What are the qualifications of that individual and the teachers? But more so the individual himself. We've got masters, a PhD, degree, whatever it may be. Right? Professor, credentials, qualifications.
What is their field of expertise? Hadith, fiqh, hafid, tajweed.
You guys now need to start thinking, not everybody is an expert in every single aspect of Islam. In this day and age, it's very difficult. You may find somebody who's faqih in fiqh in one school, like the Shafi'i school, takes about 6 to 7 years, full-time study. That individual may not be a hadith scholar. I'm not a hadith scholar. But a hadith scholar may be hadith, but in fiqh you can't be fatwa. Specialization. You've got different specializations at university, right? Somebody said, I studied at the University of Liverpool. But what have you studied? Mathematics, history, geography, medicine, biology. What is it you studied? I have secular studies. You know, okay, if I said to you guys, if you were to do an interview, and the interviewer said, what's your credentials? And you say, I have secular studies from the university. Apart from yawning at Taha, what else would you probably do? It means nothing, right? I have a degree in secular studies from the University of Liverpool. It means nothing. Similarly, I have a degree in Islamic studies. Yeah, but which Islamic studies? What did you do? Was it fiqh? Was it hadith? Was it aqidah? What was it? So it's very generic, right? It means nothing. It's very wishy-washy. But people think, oh, mashallah, Islamic studies from this particular university. For me, it's the same thing as saying he studied at university or he studied in Cambridge University as a secular, as a science. Very generic thing. It means nothing. What do you study? Tell me. What's your speciality? You can't tell me. That worries me, right? That should worry you. It worries me. That's why I don't take from people who are very wishy-washy.
Even if they have academic qualifications, are these combined with the study of classical texts?
That's another problem. Right? On the other side, you have people who've graduated from Western universities in Islam, and their syllabus is kind of very modern, but they haven't combined their studies with classical studies and classical work. They're very different. The classical works are very, very different to the works that people study at university. You take a book of fiqh or hadith, a classical work, you take a modern work, very different. So a person that has no background in classical studies or classical works, you can see there's a bit of a difference. You'll get like a watered down. But if you say it was somebody that had been trained classically, even in this country, it's a bit of a difference. There's a lot more substance there because they have a sanad and ijazah.
Do they understand the context and culture of the place he's issuing a ruling for?
That's the problem, right? They may be knowledgeable, but they haven't got a clue about your reality. They may be sat in a corner of the Middle East or the subcontinent, and they have all the knowledge, correct as well. But the reality of this country, they may not know. And they're basing their opinions on what you tell them. And more often than not, they may arrive at the wrong opinion. You can argue, well, they perhaps should not answer questions. Maybe that's a discussion that can be had. But understanding the context, the climate, the people, before you answer a question is very important.
Are they currently actively practicing?
Why have I put that in? Why? It's a bit of an odd thing. At first glance, that seems to be an odd thing to put in for credentials.
It's like saying practice what you preach. Otherwise, they're essentially a hypocrite if they're preaching everything and they're not doing that themselves.
That's one. Well then?
Could they have started teaching whilst they were practicing, maybe getting their job, but then they kind of straight off the path, but it's still their job. You know what I mean?
That's one as well.
It could just be a job for them, like a daytime job.
Yeah, daytime job, yeah.
There might be some problems that are occurring in the nowadays that they're not aware of. So I think people who are practicing right now, they know that what issues are majorly happening and how to solve them.
Okay. Then?
If they're practicing, it means they're associated with it, and if they're not, it means they're just taking this thing as a hobby or side, as a side route, which is kind of excellent.
Alright. Good.
They do have an agenda.
That's more closer to what I was looking at. More sinister, yes. There are people who are not as practicing anymore. They come off for whatever reasons. And these individuals will have an agenda. And they'll be financed by people who have a particular agenda. And that's why it's very important. More often than not, this type of individual tends to fall more on the ultra-liberal. More often than not. But it's very important to ask that question. And to see. I'd be very worried if somebody's not praying. Right? And he's going to give you advice about Islam, and you're taking knowledge from an individual. But there are people like that. And I've been in gatherings where there's been quote-unquote experts in Islam. And when it comes to Salah, as a group, and fair enough, some of them were women, so maybe excuse them, it may be a particular time of month. But the rest of the men never got up to pray. Out of a room. Probably as many numbers as we have right now. And these people are advising people in authority about Islam. I mean, how one or two people got up to pray. I was one of them, in case you wondering. With the amount of su'Allah that exists, I have to say that. Yeah. And then somebody said to me afterwards, how is it that all these people who are experts in Islam, this guy is asking this question, wasn't Muslim. How is it that they never go to pray? Why is it they never go to pray? You see. Question you could ask is that why are they advising the people in authority? Why did the people in authority ask these particular people? Yeah, but let's talk about bid'ah and this and that, things that, bigger things are happening, you have not a clue. So busy, wrapped up, in our own bit. Anyway, inshallah, move on.
And the greatest question we should be concerned with is, do they have a broken chain of transmission? Do they have an ibadah, permission, authorization, license to teach?
So Annie mentioned this today already. Alright? So now we're going to talk about this. Inshallah, I'm going to round off the lecture and round off this semester's lectures, alhamdulillah. But this is very important. These two questions, on top of everything else, but these two are massively important, And we need to spend a bit of time explaining what these are. So bismillah.
The concept of sanad, a broken chain of transmission. One of the unique attributes of Islam.
Well, the faiths, as far as I am aware, do not have this concept. Not as developed as the Muslims. It's one of the miracles that we have in our faith.
Having a continuous and broken sanad with respect to transmission, understanding of spiritual purification. An unbroken chain of teachers who are traced back to the Prophet.
I think Muhammad, you mentioned this, you have to go. Okay, inshallah. Watch it online. When are you coming back?
Next semester.
You be here for Jum'ah?
No.
Okay, inshallah. See you next semester, inshallah. Make sure you come back. Make sure you come back. With me, you try.
Amongst the special features of the classical Islamic education approach is that its sciences and knowledge disciplines are passed down and transmitted from generation to generation, and which constitute a continuous and broken chain of religious scholars and practitioners. Every generation receives from the generation preceding it a continuous chain and uninterrupted understanding.
So imagine you have a chain, a chain, stretching back through time. You're on the end of it, and it stretches right through time, going back to the Prophet, going back from scholar to scholar to scholar to scholar, right back through to the Sahaba, right back to the Prophet himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to Jibreel, to Allah. That's called a sanad. If you have that, then you are safe from strange views. Because if you don't have that, you're going to have what? A break. Your chain goes back, your chain of transmission goes back to a particular scholar and stops there. Does not go back to the Prophet. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So you should ask the Sheikh or the teacher or whoever, do they have this? And sometimes you don't need to ask, because some of the views they come out with, you can tell, I can't see the Sahaba saying that. I.e., the hijab is not obligatory. That individual does not have a sanad back to the Prophet. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That individual has a sanad going back to whoever it goes back to. Whoever introduced that bid'ah, that chain stops with him or her. Right? And likewise, any views that have crept into our faith that are not part of our faith, they go back to the scholar and stop there. But it doesn't go further than that particular scholar. Right? And that's why you'll hear things like, in history, no scholar has ever said that before until Sheikh so-and-so said it. Before him, nobody said that. And we're going to pick up on this next semester, and you're going to realize that a lot of views that are flying around today do not go back to the Prophet. Despite people saying it is, this is the way of the Salaf. No, it's not. It goes back to Sheikh Fulan, or this Sheikh, or that Sheikh, in a particular century. And after that, before that particular Sheikh, you can't find anybody saying that. But nobody knows. Semester 2, we'll open up that and have a look at it in a lot more detail. This is number 2. So we said, sanad, an unbroken chain of transmission, and you have it in your Western education system. Whatever course, your lecturer has been taught by his lecturer, and his lecturer has been taught by his lecturer, and so on and so forth. Right? You're not going to get a random lecturer teaching you, and they haven't graduated, and they have not been taught themselves. The knowledge you get at university has been passed down to them before, to those before, and those before, and those before. Not a similar thing. But we want to go back from the Prophet to Allah. On top of that, we what? Ijazah. Ijazah is what? Permission to teach. What do we mean by that?
None of the students who follow this approach will venture to take up leading positions, except after receiving knowledge and keeping long company with scholars until they grant him permission or a formal license in transmitting, especially hadith narrations, teaching, writing, and imparting knowledge. Should you inquire from one of them as to his teachers, he will mention a number of them. Should you ask him how long he has spent in the company of his teachers or teachers, He would say that he spent a long time in their company until he understood and comprehended from the methodology of understanding and the entries to knowledge.
So that's what you start now. From now on, that's your standard. You want to look at as sanad? Great. Ijaza. Ijaza means this. You have permission to teach. They're gone. They sat with scholars over a period of time, and they take it from those teachers. And those teachers have tested them and said, Bismillah, you are ready to go and teach. So a person may stay with scholars, but never be given permission. They haven't been tested. They've never been tested. But we need them to be tested. Right?
This is contrary to other approaches which are broken and interrupted, in which a student will take a leading position without keeping company with the scholars. And should you ask one of them how much time did he spend in the company of his teacher, he will tell you that he had only met him once, or that he has only spent a limited number of hours with him. How is it possible for him to have obtained the knowledge, and how can his understanding be trusted?
Is that a good point? Jubair, do you agree with this point? Luqman?
Islamic scholarship has been protected for centuries from misguidance by preserving authentic knowledge through an unbroken chain of teachers, sanad, back to the original authority. The science of Quran recitation, the scholar would have learned from his teacher, who would learn from his teacher, and so on, until the chain of teachers would lead back to the Prophet himself. The scholar would have a direct connection through a line of teachers to the Prophet and ensure the Quran was recited as it was revealed.
So when you learn tajweed, alright, you're going to learn from somebody who has been taught by a sheikh, we hope, how to recite it correctly. Right? Apply the same thing to every other science that the sheikh has claimed to have knowledge of.
This is the way it was said regarding sanad, Islam. Unbroken chain of transmission, is part of the religion, and if it was not for Islam, people would have said whatever they desired.
Abdo.
Ibn al-Mubarak.
Famous statement. لولا الإسناد لقال من شاء ما شاء. If Isnad is part of our faith, if it wasn't for that, anybody would say whatever they like. And is that not the case on social media? Is that not the case in our prayer rooms? Is that not the case at home? Is that not the case in some masajid? Is that not the case worldwide? You see, people are talking with no sanad. We don't know where it's come from.
This is the way it was said regarding sanad.
Should have deleted that part anyway. Let's do that. Right, and another
Muslims throughout history have shown extreme caution regarding Islamic knowledge. We learn from the Sahaba that when asked a question, they would prefer others to answer, due to the possibility that they may give an incorrect answer for which they would be held accountable by Allah.
Second class and third class, we spoke about how the Sahaba themselves would defer some of the fatwa to other Sahaba, rather than answer them. But look at the age we live in. Everyone wants to answer the question. I know the answer. I know the answer. Many times people have come after Jum'ah, ask me questions, and there's been somebody else sat next to me, and I'll ask a question, and I'm about to answer, and this person will jump in and answer the question. The problem I have is answer it wrong. It was embarrassing for me. I hope it was embarrassing for him. But I have to tell him, you got it wrong there, so that's embarrassing. But more importantly, he's asking me, not asking you. It's kind of just maybe just be quiet and you won't look like a fool. Many times that happens.
This was the way of the early generations. Imam Malik, in one gathering, was asked many questions by a man that had travelled a great distance. Imam Malik answered the majority of them by, I do not know.
Listen carefully. A sign of a true scholar is that they will say, I don't know. and there's no shame. We are told to say, I don't know, as much as we are told to say, we do know. Who speak correctly, they're taught. It's part of the curriculum to say, I don't know. Because you feel Allah. I don't really care whether you think I know or don't know, or you think this guy been studying 9 years, doesn't know anything. I can live with that. I'm not there to impress you. I'm dealing with Allah. And if I'm going to say something because of my ego, I don't want to look stupid, yeah, then it's me and myself and my ego in Jahannam. And your answer to that question, your answers are not that important to me. I'm going to sacrifice my akhirah. It's not that important to me. I'd rather say, I don't know. I'm just at least I'm safe. But if I'm going to try and find answers and don't know what to do, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people that I know will kind of stumble along the way, just trying to, let me go online and find the answer. They won't tell you that, but it's not the way. It's not the way people have been trained correctly.
Fear of Allah, deep accountability before Allah, that one. Due to the danger and harm which unqualified scholarship could cause to normal citizens, the head of the Muslim state had the power to ban and punish these unqualified scholars.
This is what Luqman was talking about before.
Today we have an absence of such a body that oversees this, especially in the West.
Who's going to regulate all these crazy opinions that are online? Right? And that's why in the West, you guys are far more confused than other people, in my opinion. Because there's no regulatory body that's going to regulate what the imams are saying. And in some countries you may think, oh, they're being, the government is kind of telling them what to say. Not checking true. The government and those in power are making sure that the imams are not saying anything dodgy, that's outside what's very extreme. You see. And maybe some political agendas, but for the most part, there is a reason for it.
Unqualified people are free to say whatever they want, even if it's wrong, while feeling entitled to.
Do you agree? Do you agree? Especially your generation. More so.
This has allowed two extreme groups to emerge that we have not in the past. The first are ultra-conservative, rigid, takfiri, jihadi, declaring other people as other Muslims as non-Muslims.
I've spent a lot of time with these individuals working in prisons. Very interesting. Very tiring as well, but very interesting.
The second are the ultra-liberal, progressive, modernist, reformists who want to change everything and anything according to whims, desires, and the political mood and trend at the time. They engage in making haram lawful and lawful haram.
Give me an example of this one. So, there was an individual who said to me, you know, we live in the West, and in the winter time, you know, our prayers, they differ. You know, Maghrib is like 4, in the summer, Maghrib is like 9:45. And he said to me, with a straight face, I think we should standardize the prayers. Have one time for Maghrib throughout the year, Fajr throughout the year, Isha, it's one standard time, everything's standard. And he says, so I don't have to rush back home and do all my prayers or get the prayers in. You know, people work 9 to 5. And I'm like, oh my God, this is good. I'm looking for a laugh. Personally, I'm looking for a laugh. But he had a straight face. Yeah, exactly. And this is the person in the position that people listen to. And I'm thinking, are you for real? So I'm like, okay. But what happens, okay, do you want to do that because it makes life easy for people who work 9 to 5? It's one standard prayer and that's fixed throughout the year. But what happens when people have night shifts? Then what? And you're like, oh. And then what happens if people work the weekends? You're saying that's from Monday to Friday. What about people who work weekends? And I was like, okay, well, what happens in Ramadan? What? We break fast at 4 o'clock, is it now? Well, let's say Maghrib, Asr hasn't even come in yet. How are you going to eat this? And this guy said, and then you have the audacity to say that, the scholars in the Middle East, they don't know what's going on, they don't know our reality. Wallah al-Alim, they know the reality more than you. Yeah, with all due respect. And there's not much respect there, to be honest. That's what you get. And the background of this individual, yeah, Allah. I have to keep a straight face. Sometimes it's hard. I'm looking at him. I wish I could laugh. But if I laugh, they're offended. Maybe I should laugh. It's like, seriously, you kind of for real? Are you for real? Is this an idea that you kind of... And then you have to think about his rationale, his ijtihad. Muslims, we worship Allah. We don't worship the sun. But in our prayers are in time with the sun. So we shouldn't think about that. We should move away from our prayer times being associated with the sun. Because we worship Allah, we don't worship the sun. Seriously. Wow. There you go. There you go. There you have it. An example of that.
They both go beyond the valid promises of interpretation and then attack Muslims who follow mainstream scholarship as backwards and not progressive.
Both these groups will complain that the middle way are backwards, and the second group, okay, you guys are not progressive. You guys are stuck in the dark ages. Allah, give me the dark ages and keep your age to yourself, Allah. And you can keep in your nice age of illumination and progressiveness. I'll keep them at the age of the Prophet, Allahumma salli alayhi, and the Sahaba, mashallah. If you go that darkness, alhamdulillah. If you go that backwards, alhamdulillah. Give me the backwards and keep up progressiveness.
Both groups are described by the Quran. Have you not seen the one who makes his own desires as his God? And Allah has thereupon let go astray.
Does that not describe these two types of people? The first is takfir, haram, the government's a kuffar, this person is a kafir, it's all desire. And that person bears out. And the second one is his desires. I want the prayers to be standardized so my life is easy. You know, despite it kind of doesn't apply to most people in the world. But each one's what? Their own desires. More specifically, do you know what both parties are guilty of? What are both doing? They're both doing ijtihad. Ijtihad, remember ijtihad? The right rulings. Do they have the preconditions for mujtahids? Are any of these mujtahids? They're not. But what have they done? They've left the mujtahids, the imams, in fiqh, in aqidah, in spirituality, and said, no, we don't follow them. Both groups. Both extremes. Put that aside, and let us reinterpret. We are the mujtahids. No. So it's interesting, I've seen this in my life, the extreme takfiri extremist and the ultra-liberal, they both have the same problem. They've neglected the madhahib, they've neglected the aqaid, they've neglected spirituality, and they've kind of just gone and just like butchered Islam and mutilated it. And come up with both very diverging opinions. The only problem is that one is very ugly, that's the extreme, the ISIS and these guys, they are well known, and the average Muslim like, ugh. But the other, the ultra-liberal, is more sweeter, right? It's more, it's like, you can do this, we don't have this hijab with this, we don't need this, we don't need hadus, we don't need kada. It's more sweeter. It's more digestible to the person listening. The first is haram, cut and kill, you move away. But the other one's more dangerous in reality, because how many of us our ears and hearts are more open to hear to it, listen to it, and take it on. That means it's more problematic. Both are problematic, but the second to me is more dangerous because people take it on. The first, some people have taken it on, and our prisons are full of them. But there we go. There's a greater acceptance for the second and the first, in my opinion. Moving on.
When deciding between a scholar and a preacher, it is only from the scholar that we should take Islamic advice.
So the da'i, giving nice da'wah talks, you don't take fatwa from them unless there are people of fiqh. Yeah? Most of them may That may not be the case. If it is, alhamdulillah, but if not, so inspirational speakers or khatibs, you can't ask them questions to do with fatwa or fiqh. Specialized. Unless you ask them first, Sheikh, sorry, have you studied fiqh or sharia? Do you have expertise?
As for preachers, one can benefit from them in non-technical issues, such as encouragement to do good.
That's good. Obvious.
This is provided that they should subscribe to the definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
I like it.
If you don't, you run the course of getting confused. When unable to differentiate between genuine sources of Islamic knowledge, some have paid the price by being caught up in the two extreme groups. Such groups try to stop their members from accessing genuine scholarship.
Can I add something? A trend that I've seen in my life, and I want you to kind of pay attention and see if you start to see it yourselves over the next 10 or 20 years. People who tend to be very extreme, takfiri, haram, bid'ah, shirk, and all this type of stuff. Give them 10 years and see where they end up. My experience in my short life has said that they end up swinging back to the ultra-liberal. That's what I've seen. But you go and have a look. Just bear in mind what I'm saying. In 10 years, we're all alive. Come back and tell me. Tell me what you've seen.
It's only when the members eventually come into contact with genuine scholarship who can articulate clear arguments from a solid scholarly basis that they then question what they have been taught by their own groups and then leave them.
And I think now, some of you now are kind of just moving to Liverpool. Some of you may be experiencing this, and some of you have told me this is the case.
Some have even gone on to exposing the distortions of their groups. Others are fortunate to access real scholarship, but do not realize that a fatwa, Islamic ruling, can differ according to time, place, and people. Therefore, they may come across a ruling in which, e.g., a scholar in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan issued for their specific country and then wrongly apply it in the West.
And now you've got scholars in that country saying, no, look, that's for us, not for you. An example, the issue of following our own moon sighting. There are scholars in Saudi Arabia, and I think even Bin Baz, even he said, I could be wrong, but from what I know, even he said, and the scholars there's YouTube videos of scholars in Saudi Arabia saying, each country follows their own sighting, don't follow us. But there we go, that's the fatwa they've given for them. Well, people have taken it and using it in this country, despite them saying there, don't use it. You guys follow your own sighting. One simple example.
Much distress and suffering can be avoided by people taking their knowledge from the right people to begin with. Who not to take the credit from? Those who call other Muslims kafir, that fear where they declare as non-Muslims. Regard anyone that doesn't agree with them as deviant.
That's the long list.
Those who preach hatred of non-Muslims and other Muslim sects.
Again, I stress to those who are here and those listening, and those that will be listening sometime in the future, in the near future, inshallah. I and you guys, we do not preach hatred of non-Muslims, nor do we preach hatred of other Muslims from different sects. Again, for those who want to listen afterwards when you've got time, look, I hope you listen to this part, inshallah.
People who use the terms shirk, worship of anything besides Allah, bid'ah, see previous slides loosely and frequently. Those who promote division amongst Muslims. Those who regard themselves as the only ones following true Islam and view the majority of Muslim scholars as astray. Those who want to reinterpret everything to suit their views, even issues which have been agreed upon for centuries.
And hijab and everything else.
Those who criticize or argue with everyone and anyone whilst refusing to listen to others. Those who speak ill and disrespectfully of the well-known scholars, especially those that are dead, who have been known for their piety, knowledge, and service to their faith, and whose books have been recognized as sources of Islamic knowledge for centuries. Those who don't have a sanad nor ijazah.
And that should be number one. Well, there we go. We're nearly finished. Bear with me, nearly finished, not long enough.
It is a communal obligation from Kifaya for every community to to ensure it has good quality scholars who can address their religious needs. A man from each community should stay behind to gain instruction in their religion, and to warn their people and return to her so that they may take heed. Currently, there is a dire shortage of quality scholars who understand Islamic knowledge in the context of time, place, and people. Currently, we have professionals who understand the society very well, and scholars who understand the Islamic sources very well. We need scholars who understand both in depth. If our communities produce the same number of quality scholars as we produce doctors, dentists, pharmacists, lawyers, engineers, we would not face so many problems with religious guidance.
The brightest siblings or the brightest children, the parents, are they saying to them, go be a scholar? Or the parents saying, go be a doctor? All due respect. Or go be a pharmacist? All due respect. Or go be a lawyer? Whatever it is. That's true or not true? No one wants their children to be a scholar. But at the first sign of problems, you're on the phone and you want to speak to the Sheikh. With the Sheikh, you know, the caliber of the Sheikh, and I feel that well with that. Well, good enough. But if we are continuously sending the brightest to courses that you probably need once a year in your life, maybe twice a year, maybe once every couple of years you need a dentist, or a doctor, or a lawyer. Whereas the Sheikh, you're going to need all the time. But if you've given the least academically capable and thrown them into the field in which we need the most academically capable, then you're going to get what you're getting right now. Pretty much. That's what you're going to get.
The media has done us no favours in recent years by allowing unqualified people to speak in the name of Islam. Both groups mentioned have been voiced by the media. In the absence of good quality scholars, many contemporary questions have been left unanswered or answered unsatisfactorily or incorrectly. Muslim and non-Muslims have been left confused. Communities need to be taking its knowledge from scholars who combine a deep Islamic knowledge with an understanding of society. Only then shall we have clear guidance on the issues we face. If we don't have enough scholars to do this, we need to invest for the future so we have them in the near future. Failing this, the situation will grow worse. It's time to encourage our best to become scholars rather than doctors, engineers, etc. We need to invest in people and not just buildings, mosques, etc. People will solve our problems. Thousands of pounds raised for building mosques, and yet we cannot take a fraction of this to invest in producing scholars with proper salaries. Faith, deed is based on knowledge, so be careful from where you take your faith. Taking knowledge from unqualified sources can and are having devastating results in our faith and lives. Who do you take your knowledge from?
Right. Let me give you a case study very quickly. I'm going to end on this. I'm going to read a bio of somebody. You can tell me, based on what you've heard tonight, would you take knowledge from this individual? And if not, then why? Alright, let's call this particular person somebody. Let's call him Abdullah. Abdullah. Right. Abdullah, from an early age, excelled in secular studies, has a master's in pharmacology, right? From University of Liverpool. He appears regularly on TV and is a very influential speaker. Abdullah has a special interest in tafsir and teaches this subject in his city. That's it. Would you take knowledge from this individual? How does the people take knowledge? Would you take knowledge from this? Okay, why not? Yusuf, why not?
Can't see any ijazahs or sanad or the school of thought.
You can't say anything. Or you can, okay, what have you studied? MashaAllah. Do I want to ask a question about pharmacology? Or do I want to ask a question about fatawa and tafsir? Like, even tafsir. Can I take tafsir from Islam? Sarah, why? You shook your head, why? He has an interest in pursuit. How could I have an interest in Star Trek? It doesn't make me an expert in Star Trek, is it? I'm taking that from a real life person, but I've changed some of the things over. That's pretty much it. And this individual, somebody speaks. Give me another one. Bear with me, let me find this one. Just then, put things into practice here. This one's for you. You awake?
Yes.
Good. Alright. But anybody else? Anybody else? Specifically Daha. It's a bit more trickier. Sheikh, what name? Sheikh Taha. Alright. Has a huge wealth of knowledge and experience. He worked as an imam in Sabamat Masajid. Alright, here are some of his credentials. He has 3 ijaz in Quran memorization. Has ijaz in general Islamic teaching and in Islamic creed and in ijaz in Islamic Sharia. Has a first degree in that's it. And published a number of books. So let me read that again. Has memorized the Quran and reads it with the different narrations, the citations, and has 3 ijazas in Quran memorization and 3 in the 3 different narrations. So there's 10, this individual has 3. And has ijaza in general Islamic teaching, and ijaza in Islamic creed, and ijaza in Islamic Sharia. Bit more trickier. All the buzzwords are there. So let's scratch the surface.
Yeah, so you would follow them on the things that they have the qualifications for.
Which specifically would be what here?
They've got on Sharia and
would you?
You said
Zane. This is more trickier.
Sharia is a very big topic, so which
what part of Sharia? Exactly, that's very general. Like what? General Islamic teaching. What does that mean? General Islamic teaching. Okay, do you know what that means? I don't. General Islamic, an ijaza in general Islamic teaching. An ijaza in Islamic creed. What does that mean, the Islamic creed? Which creed? And who gave me the ijaza? And most importantly, none of you picked up on the most obvious. Where did he study? Yeah, I've been banging on about it this evening, and no one's picked up. Where did you study? It doesn't say. Who are his teachers? It doesn't say. It's just ijaza. The buzzwords, because now people are a bit more clued up. I'm getting there. One of the ijazas, got the ijaza, got the sanad. Where, what subject, where did you graduate from, who are you, Sheikh? All missing. Keep a bit more awake. Alright? Because stuff like this leads people astray. So that's from a real person. That's from a real person. That I didn't make up. Changed a few things around, but that's pretty much. When I saw that, I was like, this guy, it's nothing. I don't know anything. I don't know where he studied. I don't know what he studied. It's too generic. But my point is, why is it so generic? He's going to point. Start scratching the surface. You may find that it's very superficial. There's nothing there. Bismillah, that's me done. Oh, we'll leave that for next semester, inshallah. Khair. I have to say, Jazakumullah khair for coming. I am immensely impressed the fact that you guys have come week in and week out, and I know that you have a long day and you give up like several hours, mashallah, and so it very much appreciated that you guys come. And I think what you get from it will, for the rest of your life, will put you in a good place. It will save you a lot of hassle, it will save you a lot of problems, a lot of heartache. You will now start to see the world a lot more clearly. In terms of your Islamic faith, a lot of chaos has disappeared. If you've taken what I've told you, you start to look at the world, a lot of the issues now won't bother you anymore. So خلاص, I can move on. The issues of bid'ah and this and kada, you can move on. Move on to what? To your spirituality, to worship Allah. All these other things that bog people down and go round and round, you pass that and you move on further ahead, inshallah. Please, you can share these lectures with people. If they want to argue, I suggest don't waste your time. They're not going to listen to it. They won't. Maybe they will, but most 9 times out of 10 they won't. They won't get what's being said. They don't want to get what's being said. They have an agenda, they have an idea, and that's about it. Those who are open, mashallah, have an open heart. And some of you, mashallah, have told me you come here with an open heart and an open mind. That's all I ask. This is what I've said. This is what the history books say. Go back and tell me if I'm wrong. I'm open to that. But, at least listen to what I've said first. Don't ask me questions that I've already explained. But Jazakumullah khair. Next semester, believe it or not, we will continue. We're going to go in a very different way. We're going to look at it in everything we've done, we're going to look at it in the contemporary world. It's going to be very interesting. Next semester will be very, very, very interesting. And no doubt the complaints will skyrocket to the mashallah. I'm expecting it already. People are complaining already, we haven't done anything yet. Next semester will be a lot more interesting. We're going to look a lot more at contemporary issues. And we're going to look at why things are the way they are right now in the Muslim world. And we're going to look at some of the factors, both political and both religious. And we'll look at some of the issues around extremism, where they've come from. There's quite a lot to look at next semester, but you'll find it very interesting, inshallah. And dare I say, some controversial topics we're going to explore. We're not going to shy away from certain things. We're going to explore them. We're going to look at it from an academic perspective. Hear what the ulama say. You've got a problem with it, that's your problem. But this is what the scholar said. They open it for you. We'll recite the Fatiha and then we'll open for questions. We'll give priority to the sisters first, because we need to go. Inshallah. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Anybody like to lead? They can, or do it quietly.
I just wanted to say, for example, if the teaching was to start getting all of the complaints.
There wasn't that many complaints. It's just that those who complain seem to feel allowed. Most people are happy. That's how it is. But the few who like to complain, it's always the case. Those who shout the loudest get noticed, and the vast majority are happy. Let them shout, inshallah. Whoever gave me these gifts, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much. Bismillah. Next question. Any questions, sisters? Any?
So, my question is, what's the difference?
Actually, when are you guys back next semester? Right, when do you actually, the non-medics, when do you guys actually start? Yeah, and it's 10 starts when? First week of February. Right. The 6th of February, I'll see you guys back here. Inshallah, all passed exams, all happy. Ani, Bismillah.
So, my question is, what's the difference between Ustad, Sheikh, and Mufti?
Alright, good question. The difference between Ustad, Sheikh, and Mufti. A Mufti is someone who has expertise in fatwa, that they've studied fiqh to a high level, and they can give you a formal legal opinion, very specialized fiqh. A Ustad is very general, like a teacher. Teacher of what? Teacher of Arabic language, teacher of history, teacher of, just a very inspirational speaker. The first is very niche. A lot of expert, a lot of time, a lot of hard work, exams, and training. Second ustad can be very general. The third, a sheikh. A sheikh may be a mufti. A sheikh is more يعني. Historically, an imam was the highest than a sheikh. Nowadays, imams are kind of a loose term, like the imam of the mosque. If you think about it, when we say imams, historically, I mean, who do we refer to before imams? We don't call it Sheikh Abu Hanifa, Sheikh Imam al-Shafi'i. No. Imam, an imam historically had a higher rank over a sheikh. Nowadays, it's upside down. But arguably, a sheikh, a person who's a mufti is a sheikh as well. Okay? Not every sheikh is a mufti. A sheikh may be half of the Quran, maybe in tajweed, maybe in hadith, whichever, in aqidah, in very basic sciences. I don't know, depends. But ustad is probably less than sheikh. Mufti, higher. Sheikh, second, and then ustad is third. Generally speaking. Sarah. You know, in the books of fiqh, if you look at the books of fiqh, it talks about the conditions of the imam. When you talk about the books of fiqh, you're talking about khilafah. If you take a book on the Nice of Shabra, Ibn Salik, has a chapter at the end of the book. He talks about shurud al-a'imma, or shurud al-amama. And very high. That's in the past. And imam nowadays, it depends, we talk about the urf, what people say. Imam is imam in the mosque. That's the urf, the common usage that people use today. Imam is the imam of the mosque. Not every imam of a mosque is a scholar or a mufti. Not every. Right? That's something important. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And I can tell you, as somebody who was the imam for 5 years, I was shocked at some imams and their credentials, or lack of. To give you an example, so in my 5 years in Cardiff, full of joy, most of it, inshallah, there was a particular imam who I met initially. And obviously my background is fiqh. I'm very respectful of the backgrounds, but my background is Sharia. Alright? And so I asked this particular imam, what's your kind of, what have you studied in fiqh that always catches people out for some reason? Because they haven't studied. Let's say come from a Dar al-Ulum or Madrasa, different Hanafi. I'm always intrigued to ask imams who have not come out of that tradition what their fiqh is. So this particular imam, and we were sat in a place, in an ice cream parlor, to be more specific, and he had his followers there, and I knew. So I said to him, what have you studied in fiqh? Shafi'i, Maliki, which book, Umdat al-Salik, or in Hanafi fiqh, what's it called? Nur al-Idah, which one? Or Maliki, whatever. And he said, I've studied, and he mentioned a particular book. And I was like, sat back, my mouth dropped. Not because the book was a very high book, because he quoted the book from a different subject. Nothing to do with fiqh. And I'm sat there, I'm like, again, you have to keep a straight face. I didn't stop doing it. I'm too old now, I can't bother anymore. I have to laugh. I was like, are you serious? Are you for real? I guess, how do you quote a book from a different subject? He mentioned a book in Usul al-Fiqh. Now you guys know, those who continuously studying with me in these classes, fiqh tells you that this is makruh, this is haram, this is religion. Usul al-Fiqh tells you what's abrogated, what's not abrogated, the rules, how to derive rules, the conditions of the mujtahid. So he quoted a book from Usul al-Fiqh. That's my fiqh. What do I do? And his followers are, MashaAllah. In the land of the blind, what did I say? The one-eyed. We have a lot of dajjals. That's the true story. I can go on with many stories. My Cardiff days are full of stories. I could write a book. Anyway, Amina.
You know the criteria that you mentioned
The chain of transmission, sanad and the ijaza. Aywa.
How do you like research that, especially on scales? Like who would you advise to?
Take from?
Yes, like research at university and things like that.
Okay, that's a good question, right? If you ask me specifically who to take from, I can answer that. If you ask me how practically to go and do that, that's a good question. Both are questions that I'll answer. In terms of the first, right, I can tell you that in terms of female scholars in this city, outright, there's only one person as a female scholar that I know, right? And that's Ustad Najiba. Ustad Najiba Hayo, outright, I don't see anybody coming remotely close to her as far as I know. And if there's anybody can tell me, I'm open to being told, but I find nobody in the city more knowledgeable than her in terms of women, outright. Why do I say that? It's because she studied in Syria for years, and she studied in Yemen for many, many years. And in Syria, she studied with scholars who have an unbroken chain of tradition. If somebody said to you, I graduated from Cambridge University, it has its certain, it has its thing. I graduated from Harvard University. It's well known that those institutions are institutions that are widely recognized. Somebody says, I've graduated from Azhar University, for example, in whichever field. So the institutions, their names mean something. Especially the more old. Azhar is like 1,000 years old. Azhar University. Somebody says, I've graduated from Azhar University in Sharia, in Shafi'i fiqh. That individual will know something. You see, especially over the last 20 years, they kind of tightened up a lot more. Or in Turkey, there's certain places in Turkey, well-known places, that have been same in Malaysia, same in Pakistan, same in Yemen, same in Nigeria, places that had 100 years, several hundred years worth of expertise. They go back centuries. They're the places that you don't have to ask, did they have a sanad, did they have a ijaza? The places have been around for centuries. Azhar in the Arab world stands out as number one. People can differ. That's 1,000 years. They beat any other institution that is like 60 years, 70 years old, or maybe less. No matter which country they are in. The institutions themselves tell you something. Right, is that kind of answer a little bit? Aywa? What's your shuruk?
Yeah. I just wanted to ask 2 questions. So the first is, like, we're all born to different families from different countries, right? And different countries have different madhahib. So is it compulsory on us to like follow the madhab of our original country? And my second question is, can we pick and choose different teachings of different madhabs, or should we just stick to one?
Alright, first thing, I recommend you to, I did 2 lectures. If you go back to the lecture 2 and lecture 3, inshallah, have a look, go back and look at those notes. Look back at lecture 2 and lecture 3. A lot of the things you've asked there have been answered in detail there. Look back at slides, and if you need to, please feel free on the holiday to listen to the lectures as well. Hence, that's why the recording is so important, because people can go back and look at that. In terms of which madhab to follow, the madhab that is widely available to you, so if you come from Jazair, you're going to be Maliki, you're probably already doing it anyway. So I'll just continue to study, which Malik is the Maliki school if you're in Algeria. Those who come from certain parts of the world, where, like, for example, in Nigeria, they're Maliki. You're from Indonesia or Malaysia, which one? Which country? Indonesia or Malaysia? Malaysia. You're Shafi'i. So study those schools that your country that you're from, because ordinarily you're already practicing it anyway. You're already doing that anyway. So I follow the schools where you've come from, because that's what you're already doing. In terms of picking and mixing, I've answered that already. If you go back and look at the lectures, inshallah, lecture 2 and lecture 3, I kind of talk about that in a bit of detail, inshallah. In Morocco, what's the famous university? Al-Qarawiyyin. Al-Qarawiyyin in Morocco, it's like 100 years old, Islamic university. Built by women, established by women. But picking and mixing, generally, in one act of worship is not encouraged. Picking and mixing in one act of worship is discouraged. Being Shafi'i in Salah, Maliki in inheritance, Hanafi in Zawaj, Hanbali in Hajj, you can do that. Same one act of worship, one madhab. One act of worship, two madhabs, no. You get mixing flavors, no. You get sick. But the lecture 2, lecture 3 answers that. If you have any more questions after that, come back and I'll answer, inshallah. Any of us, our sisters? Bismillah, who had that one? Say.
So my question related to the previous question. So with regards to like, we have all these questions that we can ask somebody and see, but how can we like verify it? So like say, you could have, say, like you might like say, slick person that says, oh, I've studied Shafi'i fiqh at Azhar University. How do you verify that? Like for university, we have a piece of paper that says we have a degree.
Yeah, speak to those who studied at Azhar as well. So let's say, I say I've studied at Azhar and I've got, which happens, and I've got Ijaza and Shafi'i fiqh, kada wa kada. And then Taha has also studied in Azhar. He has. And ask him, you know this guy over here? Taha, no, he didn't study. He just came around, did a few circles. He didn't really study. So now other people from the same place, what can also tell you? Because sometimes what we have, believe it or not, and this is less of a problem, we have tourists. What do we mean by tourists? And they will go to these countries, these classes and institutions, and they're tourists. They just stay there and they don't really graduate. And they'll come back and say, I've been to such and such a place for 6 years. But you were there just living it up. You were there, you made hijrah. Not a problem. But don't come back and start to answer questions. Or like allow people the illusion that you say for all those 6 years you studied. In my time abroad, there were many people who I was with and never studied. And when they got back, they were truthful, we never studied. Some feel too ashamed, for example. People can like, run with it. You ask people. And ask people who know. So if somebody says to me, so I'll give you an example. A good example, right? Again, from my college days, mashallah. A particular imam, who was saying a lot of strange things. And claiming that's the Shafi'i school. Right? So he was saying that, this thing, a ta'wid, wearing a neck, which is sunnah, but no, it's not books of fiqh. He was, that's shirk, that's bid'ah, and kufr. And a student of his told me that he's Shafi'i. From Azhar University. MashaAllah. Here's me as a Shafi'i for 8 years at that point. I've never come across this. Ever. In fact, I've come across the opposite. It's permissible. So I do what I've been telling you tonight. I want to know where have you studied. Azhar University. MashaAllah. Next question. What's the expertise? Which department? Arabic language. This is my voice. Arabic language. So my man over here can tell me about Arabic language, and all of a sudden, wants to talk about fatwa. Arabic language. I wouldn't mind, but he's getting it completely wrong as well. He's getting disastrously wrong. He's claiming to be shirk and bid'ah and kufr, and claiming to be a Shafi'i. The Shafi'i school says otherwise, and his credentials are Arabic language. And I kid you not. You couldn't make this up. I still remember the day the guy told me this. Yeah, he's like this. And I said, oh, what's his expertise? Arabic language. Anyway.
Further down, last time we been just studying that how we students must provide misinformation and must know what's good and what's right and what's wrong. But now, just like you mentioned that this era is an era we do not have a lot of scholars, we do not have a lot of people with knowledge. So now don't you think it's a time to act as a ummah and the people with knowledge should lead from front, like and everyone is using social media.
Good.
They should come forward and lead us.
And you know what? And they have. They've begun to now go onto social media, go on to use these kind of apps around out there. The problem is that those who are loudest tend to drown the voices out. And those who are loudest sometimes tend to be more funded, which is suspicious. Why are they so well funded? And those who are loudest have been doing it a bit longer. And it's true, it is true. There's some criticisms I would have of scholars, not even specific, but we've left the field open for these people to come and talk. And that's the problem. And yeah, we have to take it. And scholars, I was speaking to an Azhari Sheikh Osam Azhari, just a couple of months ago, and he said that he's kind of asking scholars to get on social media, and a lot of them don't want to. You know, that's not our way. Our way is like, we're after students at university, people come to study, and that's how we produce men and women. That's fair. But people are producing, very sick, spiritually sick individuals because the teachers are very spiritually sick. And, Imam al-Ghazali talks about we have two types of scholars, ulama al-dunya or ulama al-akhirah. And you asked about this, sir. How do you tell the difference between scholars of this world and scholars of the next world? And I reckon I should have put it on there. You should look at what Imam al-Ghazali has said. Because you have a list. How to tell the qualities and characteristics of a scholar of the next world, who we should follow, and a scholar of this world, who we shouldn't follow. Both are scholars. Both have knowledge. But one has worldly motivation, and the other has otherworldly motivations. One has principles that are not changed, and everyone will change, depending on the political climate and how much money. And we have that. People become scholars for those. In my opinion, those people who claim, who shout out, these scholars are scholars for those, in my experience, you can take it or leave it. Those who criticize those scholars are generally not scholars for those. That's my experience. Those who say, oh, these ulama over here are scholars for those, generally they're not. And I know that up front, I know that personally and professionally. Whereas these guys over here, they're different. But yeah, it's a fair point. And some of that I'm going to go down. Next question.
You mentioned Taweez before, wearing and stuff. You said it's not there. Could you just define what Taweez actually is?
Like having some verses in the Quran and certain things that are written, you wear it around your neck.
If you say wearing it to protect you, would that be part of the bid'ah? No.
There's verses in the Quran that protect you from the Christian of Allah. You put a coat on to protect you. You put a coat on. You put a coat on to protect you from the rain. It's not that shirk. It's a means. If I drink, it's a means to what? To remove my hunger. If I take medicine, it's a means to what? Is that haram? Is that shirk? Same thing, just a means.
Because I heard previously that.
You didn't hear everything. You didn't hear all of that. All of that. And more. But again, apply what I've just said. You can work out.
Yeah.
Should these people be listened to or not? So hey.
Sheikh, do you know when you watch a YouTube video or something, like you can't really check somebody's sunnah, or you can't really check somebody's ijazah. So what's...
If you can't, in this day and age of TikTok and social media, if a guy does not have credentials on there, in this age of social media, something's wrong. Something is up. Yeah? Because right now what's happened is that people are going a bit more, because the standards increased, and now people are looking for buzzwords, ijazah and sunnah. So now people are putting it out there, or trying to put some kind of version that we've heard tonight, very general, wishy-washy, because now people are starting to realize, well, we need to know some credentials. But if you can't find it, then stop listening. Why put your akhirah in the hands of somebody? You wouldn't do that with your body, or your son, or your daughter, or your family, your wife. You wouldn't put the akhirah in somebody else's hands who are not professional. Why would you?
Like also like like if you were to just walk into a masjid and you were to speak to like the imam of the masjid, sometimes people find it a bit rude and offended if you just first meeting with the person you said to him, "Excuse me, where's your ijazah? Can you tell me what you
You
specialize?"
wouldn't say it like that. I'm a bit Muslim.
No, like that's the question. Like, how would you say it?
But you'd ask them, Sheikh, where you studied? Just say Dar Ulum, for example. Dar Ulum Valley or this, whichever place. And oh, mashallah. And then they know, okay, he's probably graduated, he's had half of the Quran or done like an alim course. You don't have to ask him, ask around.
Oh.
See me, you know, after the Yemen,
Yeah.
after the Shafi'i effect. It's obvious, after the Ferry. I tell you something. Without even asking me. I can tell you anyway, but you wouldn't, sometimes you don't have to ask specifically because it's well known where they studied. Same thing, just ask around. If you can't, then just leave it until you find somebody who you know where they studied. Don't go with, oh, where's your ijazah? Unless you know them well, go straight off the mark. You can ask Sheikh, subhanAllah, did you graduate from the Islamic University? Any Sheikh will be happy to tell you that. Just like I've said to you, which university did you study? John Moore University. I did pharmacology. It was amazing. 4 years. And you can talk about it.
This is unrelated. Just the other day I was looking at some stuff about, do you know, like we talked about in the Tasawwuf lectures about friends of Allah.
Oh yeah, Allah, yeah.
Yeah. Was, you know, the man, something Qadir Jilani was his name.
Abdo Qadir Jilani.
That's the one. Was he a wali Allah?
Of course.
He was, and you know, this like people like we believe in miracles and we believe many. We believe many miracles.
It's part of our aqidah, the Sunni aqidah, that friends of Allah. Like somebody said, when the Dajjal comes, he's going to make it rain. He's going to stop food. He's going to make people come alive. Somebody said, if that's the adu Allah, an enemy of Allah, he can do that. You don't think Allah will give his friends ability to do miracles?
So
this idea that Muslims think, oh no, miracles is not part of our deen. What? And when you tell about Dajjal going from one place of the world to another place of the world very quickly and doing all these things, they accept that. But the friends of Allah can't do miracles. Oh, that's superstitious.
So do you know, of those miracles, were any like, are they all correct, or are some of them lies, or some of them fabricated? Like,
if they come from reliable sources, they're reliable facts. If it's written down by reliable sources in those places, yes. There's books written about the karamat, it's called Karamat al-Awliya. The miracles of the friends of Allah. They're the type of people that you need to seek out. They exist in this day and age. There are people in this day and age who would fit that profile. Not of the standard of Abdo Qadir Jilani, maybe not, perhaps. But the point, who might say. But the point is that the friends of Allah still exist. But in the age of darkness, they're more hidden. And the reason why they're hidden is that so that Allah will not get angry at people. Why is that the case? It's because when the friends of Allah are out there criticizing them and doing this and trying to harm them, Allah steps in. Allah deals with them. And they don't harm His friends. So because of that, because of their mercy for people, they've retracted.
So they purposely stay hidden to protect others?
Of course. Do you look at the point? If they go out and people in this age are going to criticize them because of their mercy for people, they know what Allah's at. No, people don't understand that. It's not my problem to make people understand. I'm past trying to make people understand stuff as people, oh no, it doesn't exist. That's miskin, you haven't seen them. You haven't seen these people. Allah's not wanting to see His friends. Oh yeah. I mean, you asked me about, oh yeah. All of you should think about seeking the friends of God. And they're not always as obvious. Not always scholars either. It could be women, it could be men, old, not looking very nice, not looking very clean. The friends of Allah are always there. If you look at somebody and you feel moved, like, mashallah, there's something about this person. Well, you have to have a good opinion, called husn al-dhann. When I was in Egypt, in Cairo, there was people I saw that for me, like, mashallah, these people are special. Do they look impressive? No. They look almost like homeless. But I'm drawn, something about this individual. You have to start developing that kind of sense. People, every bid'ah, shirk and kufr, they are the last people to see anything. They're lost. But the friends of Allah are there. Whenever you heard about a friend of Allah, that people say this person is a friend of Allah, make an effort to go see them. Make an effort to get dua from them. Even if you go to Mecca, you're going to see the friends of Allah. You have an open mind. If you feel that somebody is special, you go up to them and say, even a woman, make dua. You never know. Have a good opinion. Have an open heart. Think everybody is a wali of Allah. And then you're going to find someone like that.
Can you be a wali of Allah but on the wrong aqidah?
No.
No, impossible.
Habib Umar said once that a person has anthropomorphic views of God. Allah will never draw that person close. In the sense of being a friend of Allah. What we're talking about to be a friend of Allah. If you look back at the hadith in the lecture, in there, Abraham becomes hands which he sees, hand which he touches, his eyes which he sees. That doesn't happen to somebody who has beliefs of God that are not right.
What if, like, you know, like this whole anthropomorphic thing, this is like it's like kufr, isn't it, to believe these things?
Easy, mate, easy.
But basically, like, they're on a level of that's like very bad.
It depends what they're saying.
Yeah.
The modern people who are saying it now, it's borderline. But we wouldn't call it kufr. We wouldn't. Ahl Sunnah would keep people in. Like them, they want to kick everybody else. We don't. We want to keep them in. Even them, we want to keep them in.
So like,
we're more inclusive. Seriously, we're more inclusive of them. They're making takfir of us and tabdir. Half of that we're doing. We're more inclusive, and yet we are the exclusive ones. Anyway.
So like that's like a big thing, this whole anthropomorphic thing. So what if they were like not correct aqidah but of a small thing, something small like, oh, this thing is a bid'ah but it really isn't. So now can that person who has this very small deviant view or misguided view, let's call it, can that person still be a wali of Allah?
Wallahu
a'lam. Okay.
Well, I will tell you this. Leave those and go to people who have nothing wrong with them. Very simple, alhamdulillah. And there's many people like that. There's more of them than of that group. And there's plenty. So it could be sat in your local mosque in the corner. You walk past. It could be the old woman outside. You know, it could be the person. It could be a grandmother. All due respect. It could be even your grandmother. You see the Prophet in the dreams all the time. She makes dua for you. These people are special. Keep your eyes open. Hearts and minds open, and you see them. Ask Allah, Ya Allah, show me your friends. Ya awliya, show them. But they're hidden. Imam Haddad, in his century, what I've just said to you about them retracting, he said it back then. They retract. Allah Alam about now. They're hidden. Those who don't know. But Allah will always have His friends on the face of the earth. You go find them. They're always there. If you're sincere, Allah shows you. And when you find them, then you start to experience true Islam. Oh, you mean we don't have true Islam before? This is the kind of autistic mindset that I deal with. Really. I'm always going to watch myself, but I can't be bothered anymore. Some people are autistic, so that I understand. Autistic when it comes to them. Anyway,
I forgot what I was going to say because of that, man.
I know. It is what it is.
Okay, so it's kind of related to what you said now in the slide. So you said wali of Allah doesn't have to be a scholar, and you said that
Not necessarily.
You
can be a scholar of the outward knowledge. You could be not a scholar of the outward knowledge, but you can be a scholar of the inner knowledge.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you said with all due respect, not certain people aren't supposed to be scholars as well. So could you say? So basically, how do you become a wali of Allah if, I guess, inward knowledge? How do you become a wali without being a scholar? It's just about like striving.
When I say not a scholar, I don't not faqih or mufti. I don't mean.
I know that's what you mean. Like, just not, like going out your way to study. I understand that's what you mean.
Not necessarily. A person can be a friend of Allah and you have the basic knowledge, but be so pious. My point is that it's not a condition that person has to be a scholar to be a friend of Allah. We have a lot of scholars who are not friends of God.
So just be pious, basically.
Piety. Look back at the hadith. The person who goes closer to me with Abu Bakr and then with Look back at the previous few lectures.
The other sects, people outside understood have ijazah as a sanad as a concept.
Yes, they do. But that's the problem, right? Hang on, you're telling us that ijaz and sanad. But the ijaz and sanads only go back to a certain point. They will claim it goes back to the Prophet, but it doesn't. That's the problem. When they claim it goes back to the Prophet, no, it doesn't. Why? Because we can't find anybody else before the 6th century of Sheikh Fulan saying that. Before Sheikh Fulan in the 6th century saying those things, nobody before him ever said that. Either in the century before that, or the century that preceded that, or the century that preceded that. You see, so yeah, everyone will claim you have certain ijazah, and all the sects will have, their views go back to to a certain individual. But what we're talking about today can go back to the Prophet directly. Anything else? Is that it? That's it.
On the topic of sunnah, could you kind of like Chinese whispers, the longer the more
No. You know why? That's the miracle of our deen. Allah preserves this deen. Allah promised to preserve it. And it's not as simple as Chinese whispers because scholars will overlook and check it and analyze and cross-analyze and check. And ultimately, Allah's promise from Allah. Some Orientalists will probably give that as the argument. It fails. Khair, inshallah, we will end the end of semester, mashallah, second semester on the 6th of February. We'll come back.
30th of January is the first day we're back, so you're going to do it the week after we're back.
Before.
No, it's 30th of January, you said 6th of February. 6th
of February.
First day we're back in semester 2 is 30th of January.
It's exactly.
No, I checked the website.
The exams are over by the 20th.
Is it? 30th?
Yeah.
Sure.
If you go on the actual website, it says semester 2 starts 30th of January.
30th of January, yeah. So,
Yes, the first week of
So you're telling me the 6th is not the first day back?
no, the 30th.
Nah, I believe it. I hope so because you guys are students at University of Liverpool. Like, okay, the 13th, right? Tell me how many Mondays you have. 30th of what?
30 or 13?
30. You're my phone. It says 8 weeks of teaching, so I assume that's 8.
Hey, listen, I won't be there on the 30th. Anyway, but on the 6th I will be. So you have a whole week to prepare yourselves. How many Mondays do I have?
You'll have 7 in that case.
Sorry.
And then we have 3 weeks break. Because we have 8 weeks of teaching, and then there's a 3-week break, but because Easter, yeah.
Easter's 3 weeks.
So you 8 weeks of teaching from the 30th of January, but because you're not here for 1 week, you actually have 7, and then you have 3 weeks holiday.
Alright, 7 to squeeze it all in.
But then we do have another 4 weeks after that 3 weeks break. So
Alright, we'll kind of sort it out when the time comes. I will upload these. I will upload it. Zane, just remind me. I know you keep on doing that, which is good, but just remind me, inshallah.
put it into that whole thing.